Hi, everybody. My name is Jackie Carpenter, and I'm the director and founder of One Giant Leap Australia Foundation. We were fortunate to be working with the Japanese Space Agency on programs, and they invited us to be part of the Asian Herb in Space program. We'd never heard of the program before, but it's very, very exciting. So, it's part of our Seeds in Space program that we're running here in Australia. The logo for the Asian Herb in Space program is being designed by the Thailand Space Agency and all the countries involved. There are about 9 different countries are all growing different kinds of herbs on board the International Space Station. So this particular program is growing sweet basil, and JAXA sent sweet basil up to the space station in specially designed plant containers. So this particular container, as you can see, has holes drilled in the side for air so that the air can circulate, and the lid goes on the top. Underneath, there's a hole drilled and a piece of tubing put in and a syringe so that we can accurately measure the fertilizer that's been put into the plants. So the contents of the bottom of the planter box is rock wool. So I'd never seen this before. So if you're someone who is new to this kind of experimentation, you can buy rock wool in packets. This particular packet is from JAXA. They mailed it to me so that I could show all the students involved in our experiments. So the wonderful thing about rock wool is you can just break pieces off, put it into the places that it needs to go, and then just seal up the pack and use it until it's all gone. It's fantastic. So JAXA sent up the seeds in space, the sweet basil seeds, and in the meantime, they had sent us in Australia 7,000 sweet basil seeds for schools, preschools, and universities to grow as a ground control experiment. So we couldn't fund every school to get a planter box and the rock wool. So we supplied all the schools with a small seedling greenhouse. So everybody got the same little greenhouse. And we also, luckily for us, Osmocote, the fertilizer and the potting mix company, supplied all of us with the same potting mix so that we were using the potting mix that was exactly the same across the whole country. So there wasn't any variation in the experiment. So what we did, JAXA sent us seeds from the seed lot of the plants that were going to be grown on board the space station, and then other basil seeds so that we could compare 6 space basil seeds with 6 what we call earth seeds, ones that had nothing to do with the ones that went to space. So schools and preschools were supplied with these seeds clearly marked, and they've been growing the ground control experiment now since February. It's now October 2021, and due to COVID, there's been a lot of false starts on this experiment. Some schools still have not started. The schools are just starting to go back. So some schools will start next week. Other schools have started, other schools have finished. So just depending on what location the kit was in, whether the experiment's been done. But in the meantime, in February and March, JAXA grew the sweet basil plants on board the space station. They were sent up on SpaceX CRS-21, and they came back down on SpaceX CRS-22, a supply mission capsule, and they landed in the ocean off Florida. They were frozen, and that experiment was rushed back to JAXA so that JAXA could continue observing and taking measurements of the sweet basil plants. That experiment and all the results have been published by JAXA, but also supplied to us so that we can supply it to the preschools and schools around the country that are part of the program. So by getting this data from JAXA and the International Space Station, schools can compare their results with the results of what happened on board the ISS. So it's very, very exciting for them to be able to look at their experiment, gather their results, make assumptions and hypotheses, and then see what really truly did happen on board the ISS. So in the future, we are hoping to do this again, probably with Holy Basil this time, and schools and universities and preschools will be invited to be part of the program. So with the on board the ISS, they didn't use water like we did on Earth. They actually used fertilizer. So they used oat-house fertilizer, and these are the two fertilizers that we used up on the space station to simulate quickly growing herbs and spices on board the ISS. And for those people who do not understand why we are growing these things on board the International Space Station, there's a number of reasons why. Number one, it changes the flavour of our food. So if we grow basil, we grow chili, we grow those very strong herbs and spices, it means that food does not become bland. I would not want to be eating the same thing every Tuesday, for example, on a long-haul space mission. You would want to add some flavour in there, especially considering that your sinuses don't drain and your face is all puffed up and your sense of smell is quite dimmed. So it's good to have that strong flavour. It's also growing plants is known to be good for your mental health. So watching something grow from a seed can be very, very relaxing, not sitting there staring at it all day like trying to watch the grass grow, but more that over time growing plants and everything is found to be great for your mental health, but also to supplementing vitamins and minerals for the astronauts and the space travelers so that we can use them in to replace medications and things. So there's a lot of research going on in this area on how to grow all these kind of herbs and spices, which ones to grow, why we should grow them, and more than that, how are we going to do that if we go and colonize another place? So if we go to the moon, how are we going to feed everybody, and what should we be growing, and companion planting and all the whole agriculture space is vital for the success of our space exploration. So to have young children involved, we have students aged 3 and 4 involved in this experiment. So they will remember the time that they got to grow the sweet basil for the Japanese Space Agency, and the Australian Space Agency is involved as well. So we're very, very excited about the Asian Herb in Space program. Kits are still available if people are out there from Australia and they want to be part of it. We do have 95 schools growing 320 kits. So there's a lot of research being done. If you're a researcher in this area and you would like to get a copy of our research, please reach out to me at info@seedsinspace.com.au and I'd gladly supply you with the research that we have. If you have any questions too, please email me at the same email address. The Asian Herb in Space program has been going for a number of years, but this is the first time Australia has ever been involved in it, and we're very, very proud to be supported by the Australian Space Agency in this program. If you have any ideas on other things that you would like to grow, or if you would like us to do some ground control experiments for you, please reach out to us, because we would be more than happy to try and facilitate that, especially not just in Australia, but also between countries, between universities, between schools. So please reach out. The Seeds in Space program is an amazing program, and we will be expanding it in the future. So thank you for being part of my presentation. Thank you for logging in and paying interest in what we're doing. And I'm really looking forward to hearing from you at info@seedsinspace.com.au.